Champ,
Central?
wrestling champ.
Not off the top of my head.
Pius was one of them.
There was one that was like 120 pounds and one was bigger,
Okay.
40, I think. Call the common council back to order. I will ask the clerk to call the roll to make sure we have a quorum.
Alderperson May.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
Frankie.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Chapletsky.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
8 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. We will start with the Administration and Finance Committee. Alderman Vitale.
Mr. Mayor. Could I have your attention during the recess, Administration and Finance, we met and 4 members, of course, were present. I have item 15 through 19. They are resolution for passage. 21, 20 and 21, a resolution move to adopt. The 23, there are communications from the fire chief to place on file. 24 and 25, communication to move for approval. 26, resolution to move for approval. Mr. Mayor, I should move for approval for all those communications, resolutions for passage.
Second.
There is a motion with a second by Alderman Reinke. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May.
Aye.
Probst.
Aye.
Frankie.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I have another communications which was approved at the Administration and Finance, item 22. Mr. Mayor, I should move for approval. Second.
There's a
Any
motion.
Any discussions?
Motion and a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Devine?
I guess
I
the
think
chairman
you
of the
were
committee has it under control.
Mayor Vitale? I mean, Mayor Devine?
Was there any discussion?
Mayor Devine?
Seriously.
Mayor
Alderman May.
Just for everyone's edification, we're not accepting the grant at this time. What we're doing is we're authorizing the Department of Development to go forward with the application, the company to show us their financials and their money, and for us to, what we're saying is we want to have the money in line before we would accept any grant. So we're pushing off that grant decision to the future. See what I mean? We're applying for it. We'll worry about the money between now and then.
Mr. Zeeler?
Excuse me for interrupting, but I didn't hear Alderman Vitale say 25A because it was on a supplemental. He may have missed 25A. Did you have
Oh, that's another.
25A in your packet?
Yeah,
25A.
yeah, 25A, just as well. Communication from the City Administrator Officer regarding request for an exemption of policy 1813, section 5.2, 6 health and dental insurance to survived spouse for a deceased active employee. Point of order, Mayor Devine.
Alderman May?
I believe we're just taking up 22 for now. I think
Yeah,
what
that's-
Mr. Zeller was
Correct.
saying was we previously did 25A.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so the item before us is item 22.
Correct.
Is there any discussion? Do we need a split vote on this? Yes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May.
Aye.
Probst.
Aye.
Frankie.
Aye.
Rote.
No.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Chapletsky. Lysick.
Aye.
7 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. Now before us is item 25A, the supplemental. Was there a motion, or do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Weigel, second by Alderman Probst. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May.
Aye.
Probst.
Aye.
Frankie.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the Public Works Committee. Alderman Weigel.
Mayor Devine. Okay, so the Public Works Committee met during recess, and I'd like to move on items number 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34. These are resolutions and 2 communications. The resolutions were for approval, the communications for approval and place on file, all acted on in the affirmative by all 4 members present. Mayor Devine, I move acceptance of this portion of the report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Alderman Reinke. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May.
Aye.
Probst.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Chapletsky. Lysick.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries.
And that brings us to item number 31, which is a communication from the Director of the Public Works City Engineer regarding options for replacing the roof at the police department. This came out with, actually, I guess, no recommendation in as much as it was voted in the affirmative by 2 members present, in the negative by 2 members present, and Alderman Barzak being excused. Mayor Devine, I move, do I make a motion on a tie? I move acceptance of this portion of the Public Works agenda tonight.
Point of order. You're moving acceptance of the agenda, but what do you,
Well, it
what
was
are
a
you accepting?
communication, and it came out of the 2-2 vote.
we make a motion either to approve or deny? Or place on file?
No
Comes out with no
Or
recommendation.
place on file. Anyone can make a motion anyway then. There's no recommendation from the committee, so anybody, any member of the council or the chairman can make a motion doing anything they desire.
Okay, then I would move acceptance of the engineer's report, engineer's recommendation to install the metal roof on the police department.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Lysick. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Chapletsky.
The city engineer makes a good, and the consultant makes a good, valid point on the amount of years that the metal roof would last. The problem is, we don't have the money for it. We have $200,000 budgeted, which we could shingle the roof with now, and we would have to borrow for all the other money. So now we're borrowing for a maintenance program that should have been budgeted for. And I just don't think that we should be doing that. We shouldn't be operating that way.
Thank you, Alderman.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Vitale.
you know, the way sometimes I digest some of the concern and issue they come up with in our city, you know, sometime, you know, in the past I was teased about hold the line, you know, which we all try to do that, you know, that's our jobs, so we try to do our best. But the fact it is that in my house, if I have a roof, says 25 or 30 years old, and it needs a new roof, new shingles, well, many times we go out there, we get bids, and we get that done. But when we talk facilities, which is a safety building within our communities, the way I see it, by putting a shingle roof, so 20 years, 30 years down the road, it's going to be redone again. So it's going to be an additional incurrence of cost, probably more than what really is today. So when we're talking about putting a metal roof, I think it has a lifespan, I believe, 50, 60 years, even longer, in my estimations. So to me, I mean, I understand nobody like to go out there and borrow money to go through, you know, this big improvement, which I don't want to sit in this room here and the roof was leaking, you know. So if there's some alternative, which it costs $180,000 for a shingle roof, you know, and we adding, say, another couple $100,000 on that, but the roof, it has a long span of life. That That's my strong opinion. To me, it's hard to go out there and borrow the money to do it. But the fact is, to me, it's a good thing. That's a safety building for the city of Ostalis. So I like to, I use the term preserve that, to not incur in 20 years, 30 years down the road, the future generation of the new taxpayers that come into Ostalis to incur more hardship in relations of building maintenance. To me, that's a good proposal by the engineering department or by the director of public works. To me, that's my strong feeling. We should go ahead with that.
Mayor Devine?
Thank you, Alderman.
I-
Alderman Chapletsky.
I just want to clarify here, these are just estimations that the consultant gave. The shingle roof is 167,000, which we have 200,000 budget, we can pay for that. The metal roof is 475,000, so it's over twice, just so everybody knows.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
I think this may actually be important to look at how we pay for things, okay? Our roads last about 40 years. We don't have a problem bonding for those, okay? That's how we pay for our roads consistently, because it's considered a capital expense. Now, a maintenance issue is usually you try to stay current on and not borrow for. But if you look at a metal roof as a capital improvement to the building versus a maintenance issue for the building, then really you should have no problem with bonding for it. The roof's gonna last 40, I think the conservative estimate is 40 years, and it will save money. That's the way I look at it. It's not a maintenance product, it's a capital improvement product for the building.
Thank you, Alderman Weigel. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman May?
to wrap this up, I agree with Alderman Chapletsky. I agree with Alderman Roth that this is a cost that we were not expecting. I think it's a little disconcerting that we are 2 months into the year and we find out we need a new roof to the safety building. In addition to some other things that were brought up at the last council, I would like to know why that happened. We don't have to know this tonight. But I think what we do need to do is make a wise decision, and there's two ways to look at this. One is the present cost of what it's going to be, but then there's the long-term outlook and actually a true present worth analysis. And I think when we look at the finances in that sort of the rate of return we get, the present worth analysis, we are actually long-term saving money by putting on the metal roof. And it's for that reason I'm going to vote yes for the metal roof. Thank you, Mayor Devine.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
But, well, I don't-
Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May.
Aye.
Probst.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
No.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
No.
Lysick.
Aye.
6 in favor, 2 opposed.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor Devine.
Thank you. Next, we will have the Safety and Development Committee, Alderman Lysick.
Mayor Devine.
I refer you to items 35, 36, and 38 on your agenda, an ordinance and 2 resolutions, all acted upon favorably by all 5 members of the committee. I move for adoption of the committee report.
Second?
There is a motion and a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May.
Aye.
Probst.
Aye.
Reinke.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Chapletsky. Lysick.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries.
That's all, Mayor Devine.
Thank you. Next, we have License and Health Committee, Alderman Chapletsky.
I'd like to bring everyone's attention to item number 12. It was voted 3-0 to approve going over quota just to get to the public hearing. The entire council has to vote on that after the public hearing. Number 14 was to place on file. 39 through 46 was approval, place on file or subject to necessary requirements. and number 48 to place on file. I'd like to move for the adoption of this part of the committee's report.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Weigel. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call?
Yeah.
Please call the roll.
Alderperson May,
Aye.
Probst,
Aye.
Ranky,
Aye.
Rote,
Aye.
Vitale,
Aye.
Weigel,
Aye.
Chapletsky,
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries.
And then we have number 48A on the supplemental agenda tonight. This resolution was voted in favor by all 3 members of the committee, 1 member excused. I'd like to move for the adoption, final portion of the, adoption for the final portion of the committee's report.
Second.
Motion and a second by Alderman Weigel. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May,
Aye.
Probst,
Aye.
Ranky,
Aye.
Rote,
Aye.
Vitale,
Aye.
Weigel,
Aye.
Chapletsky,
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you. Lastly, we have the Advisory Committee, Alderman Ranky.
Mayor Devine. I direct the council's attention to items number 49 and 50 on tonight's agenda. 1 communication and 1 reappointment approved by the committee. Mayor Devine, I move for their approval.
Second.
There is a motion with a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson May,
Aye.
Probst,
Aye.
Ranky,
Aye.
Rote,
Aye.
Vitale,
Aye.
Weigel,
Aye.
Chapletsky,
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries.
That's all, Mayor Devine.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we adjourn until our next regularly scheduled meeting at 7 PM, Tuesday, March 18th.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Ranky. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.